it true that being in rock and roll, you want to be a rock and roll star and all the girls go crazy? And you're here in Arizona. Why not just make the move 350 miles to LA?
Because I lived in LA, and it seemed like when I was in LA, I was putting a band together, and I put an ad in the paper, and it seemed like everybody went to a school out there that teaches you how to play guitar or teaches you how to play a different instrument. And everybody could play real fast and a lot of notes real quick and stuff. But I'm really blues influenced, and I like blues and rock music, you know. And everybody could play real fast, but when it came down to just doing a basic 1-4-5, it's like they were lost or something, you know. They didn't have a clue of what was going on. And then I came to Arizona, and I tried to get some stuff together here, and I found there were some really cool musicians here, but still not what I was looking for. So it turned out that I imported a couple of guys from Jersey and got them to come out here and check it out. And like the thing in Jersey, everybody in Jersey thinks that out here it's desert. There's like just sand, and you know, there's one gas station in the whole city and stuff, you know.
You had to bring your own water.
Yeah, so when my buddies came out here, they were like totally blown away, you know. They were just like, wow, this is so cool, you know. Let's not tell anybody else in Jersey. We don't want to ruin it, you know.
Well, getting to reality for a musician, how do you make a living in Arizona?
Actually, the best way to make a living as a musician in Arizona is probably to probably do a record and sell records, because that's pretty much how I've been doing it now. I put the CD together and we put it in the stores, and that's how I've been making a living. Because the clubs here, seems to me they're trying to do like a pay-to-play thing. I don't think they're going to pull it off, and I think they're hurting a lot of the scene trying to pull it off. You know, most of the club owners, there's still a few good club owners and a lot of guys that are cool.
But you say they're trying to create a pay-to-play, but it used to be like 5 or 10 years ago, the bands were able to make at minimum $300 a night. Now that minimum has dropped so tremendously. If you're trying to work a door, you only make a small percentage of that.
Yeah, I realize that, and I just look at it, it's like, seems to me that the clubs are trying to take all they can get and not give anything.
Well, the liquor revenue's down also. It's down 60% in some regards because of the DWI laws. So that's reflecting. I've never found a bar that if a band is packing it, that the bar would refuse to pay them what they're worth.
Where have you been, man? They are.
Well, I mean, these are the days of the Jetsons and the Schoolboys.
Yeah, and that was when the liquor. I mean, when the drinking age went up, the Jetsons were still around, and they were still packing bars, you know, and they were still dealing with club owners being dicks too. You know what I mean? And but today it's just that there's so many bands now that are trying to. It seems to me that are trying to play the clubs. And there's a lot of shitty bands out there that'll play for free, you know, just new guys that are just coming into it. I'm not knocking anybody, but, you know, we've been doing this for a long time, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you should really respect the bands that are, you know, have been playing for a long time and pay the bands. I mean, you talk about the club owner's overhead, and that's all I ever hear about is the club owner's got this overhead, he's got this overhead, this overhead. Band has overhead too, because if the band's supposed to advertise with flyers, flyers cost money. Okay, nobody ever looks at this side of it. You know, if you got to change your tubes in your amp, that's $80. I mean, I have 400 watt amps that I play through. You know, 80 times 4. You know, think about it. That's a lot of dough. You know, you got strings, you got guitars, you got to take care of all the shit. You got to take care of your vehicles to get there. I don't want to piss and moan, you know, but the club owners, you know, you got your bills, but I got my bills too. You know.
So what's the answer?
So the answer is to have good acts play in your club, and have the good acts play consistently. Don't keep switching. Have a good act one day, have a shitty act the next day, because in doing that you're just hurting yourself, because people don't know when there's a good act. If you have a steady thing of a good act playing, I'm not saying the same act every night, but try to get 5 different acts. If you're going to have 5 different nights of music, try to get 5 different good acts instead of, you know.
Well, have you found that there's enough local support? I find that I go to the clubs and the people aren't going out. They're more hanging out at home with their VCRs and drinking. And
okay, another thing is also, being that the economy's changed and everything, I think that the club owners have to change with the economy. I mean, having a club open on a Sunday night, for instance, okay, people have to go to work the next day. I mean, you know, you got a job, you got to be there in the morning. You can't stay out till 1 o'clock in the morning. Why have the bar open till 1 o'clock in the morning? Mm-hmm. When that last 2 hours or 2.5 hours, people ain't going to be there. Open the bar earlier, you know, or have it open at a shorter amount of time, you know, have it from 9 to maybe 11, you know, and only have 2 bands instead of 3 or 4 bands like they've been doing in some of these clubs. It's ridiculous. You know, you're not giving the people a good night of music. Plus, a lot of times they mess up the billings. Like they'll put on a real heavy metal band with a blues band, you know, or they'll put a reggae.
Sounds like Backstage Pass. We put country on with heavy metal and comedy and
that's a show.
everything.
You're sitting there watching TV. It's not.
Well, we do it in the live. I mean, that's all happening live.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, Backstage Pass isn't a club that has to operate every night either.
That's true. How do you do that? You have management, somebody that's personally taking you under their wing?
Basically, Dan Zalisco's been helping me out a lot. He's a friend of mine. A lot of people say he's my manager and stuff, you know. Danny's my friend. I'm his friend. But most of the stuff that I've done, I pretty much put it together myself as far as the record goes and the recording and all that stuff. I just saved my money and worked. And the guys in the band helped me out when things were tough, you know, and we just got together and just went in there and did it, you know.
And the name of the CD is what?
Michael Nitro, Winning.
Any deeper meaning to get across to the people?
I just like people to feel good and be happy and be up, you know, and actually have actually just feel, basically have emotion about things, you know. It's just when the world is crazy as it is today, people don't stop and get in touch with their own emotions. And my songs are basically about the way I felt about certain things when I wrote them at that time, you know. And I think that everybody that listens to this CD that I have out, there's 15 songs on the CD, you know, which actually is a lot.
Well, you must have your songs down to around 3 minutes or less, right?
Yeah, some of them are 3 minutes. Live, I won't say what happens live, but live's a real exciting thing happens when we play live. But just marketing the CD and putting it together and stuff, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. I mean, to make something like this, you see them in the stores all the time, and you never realize until you do something like that how much goes into it. I mean, and not even so much into the recording factor of it, but that took a lot of time and a lot of money and energy. But just the cover, putting in the packaging and the cover
That's
together.
usually a lot of
crazy.
it. Right? So you're primarily the songwriter.
Yeah, yes, I wrote the songs, but.
Well, let's get into that right away. Just before we close, and do you come up with the words first, and then the music, the words? What?
A lot of times it happens when I'm sleeping. You know, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have a song. You know, and
what, the words or the music?
The whole thing. It just
all
comes,
at once.
Yeah, it comes like a whole thing in my head. And my drummer Freddie, that's been with me for 15 years, Freddie Macaron. Me and him have been playing so long that he could pretty much hear what's in my head, and he's got such great ideas of his own that I just trust him and he plays and let him play what he wants. I don't tell him what to play. I just know that he's going to play the perfect part for the song, you know.
Well, great. Well, much success to you, Michael.
Here's a little something I just wrote. I was watching CNN one day. I was walking down by the river's edge when I found her. at. She was lying in the sun, cold and dead. Somebody took a cinder block to her head. So I got in my car and I drove around, and I ended up down at the school playground. And I wasn't surprised by what I found. Some little kid with a gun shot his playmates down. I said, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Just another day in this blood-stained town. Ring around the rosy, let the spinning wheel spin. You could smell the bodies burning in the wind. So I took a trip to the city to see a good friend of mine that was waiting for me. When we stopped along the way to smell the flowers, I looked up in the sky and the planes went through the towers. I said, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Just another day in this blood-stained town. Ring around the road, you let the spinning wheel spin. You can smell the bodies burning in the wind. Said, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Just another day in this blood-stained town. Ring around the road, you let the spinning wheel spin. You can smell the bodies burning in the wind. You know, whenever you're Joel, there's a camera running, you know what I'm saying? So, and you know, you never know where it's gonna pop up and who's gonna see it. And I'm kind of playing like crap tonight, and it's okay, because it's Joel. Yeah.
It's going into the archive.
He put me up on YouTube the other day. I watched this. How old was I then? What was I, 20 or something? But I looked on YouTube and I saw myself talking on YouTube, and I was so cocky. I was just so damn cocky. It was embarrassing, but still funny to look at.
Tired?